Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. My name is Mike E, and for today's video, I'm going to be talking about my history with sports growing up. The very first sport I played was actually soccer. There was a time period where I was living in Mexico just for a few months, and I played soccer as maybe 4 years old, I think. There's a few funny stories from that. Apparently, I never scored a goal for my team, which, I was 4 years old, so, But apparently, the only goal I did score was on my own goal. So apparently, I took the ball right to my own goal, shot it right in, and started celebrating it. I also apparently dove a lot. I was told apparently that I would get tackled by another kid and I just do 5 spins. And of course back in America, this is where it starts getting more serious. I got really into baseball. I lived in Los Angeles. I don't follow baseball as much, but I just grew up a Dodgers fan, seeing as that was the area where I lived in. I would go to Dodgers games all the time because my dad would get tickets for me and my mom and us. And me, for me, my mom and him. So naturally I wanted to start playing it. Started practicing. My dad would find YouTube videos of drills to do and all that stuff. I was 6 years old, but I was getting pretty good at pitching was the thing I was practicing a lot. I'd practice, I'd have a breakdown, right? So I'd start with just flicking my wrist and throwing it to my dad. He's like, okay, now we start doing the forearm and increase, And anytime I messed up, I had to go back and do the first thing again. But it was training me to be a good pitcher, right? I was a really good pitcher. And I was just having fun playing along. I moved to another place, another city that wasn't LA, but I continued playing baseball. There again, I kept pitching. I got a little older and I started getting better. And again, I was doing pretty good. Hitting was never my strong suit. I would get on base a lot, but that was just because I was really, really fast. I was always the fastest kid on the team in baseball. So I could hit an infield ground out to the third base and run it out, But so hitting was never really my strong suit. But pitching wise, I was still doing great. I guess my highlight from that team would have been one time it was to close out the game. There was one out, and then I threw the ball. It was going over my head, but I leaped up to catch it, and then I turned right back around. The kid that was on first was already halfway through the baseline, so I just threw it to first, and it was a double play. I remember my coach ran up to me and just hugged me up in the air and all that. It was a big moment, so it was really cool. Again, this is young, so I'm not trying to brag about anything or anything like this. It's just cool memories I have. My next team, they never tried me out as a pitcher. It was in that same town. Fortunately, yeah, I just never became a pitcher. I was playing third base most of the time, and not really much memorable stuff from there. We went to the championship that we had, and we lost. We had 2 outs. We were winning 8-6, and I guess we lost 9-8, something like that. Not really anything too notable from that season for me. My enjoyment of baseball started wavering a little bit. Honestly, I'm not sure why.
That's strike 3.
That's right. 3 strikes, you're out. Basketball.
I moved to the East Coast after that, and I never really practiced at all. I didn't practice on my own, so I didn't play baseball in general. I didn't join a team or anything like that. It wasn't until I moved back to the West Coast that I started getting into it again. Joined a team in 8th grade. Again, I pitched one game but to be fair, I was one of the worst players on the team at that point. The championship game, I remember we got to that, and I was in left field, right? I had 2 big plays. It was the top of this, I think it was 6 innings, the top of the 6th or something like that. And I get a fly out all the way to I'm in left field. I get a fly out all the way. There's a certain name for it, but I had to really run for it. And it was a full-on sprint, but I barely managed to get it. So it would have been a huge play for the other team if I hadn't gotten it. And then there was another one right after that where it was hit all the way against the wall, and it looked like it was going to be a triple, but I got all the way to it and then threw it all the way to the cutoff, third base, out. So that was a pretty cool play. Just these little memories I'm sharing with you guys. I'm not bragging at all. I want to emphasize that. I'm just sharing memories from sports. We get to my freshman year of high school. I was trying out for baseball. I made the team, barely, but I made the team. And then COVID hit and season canceled. Okay, so that's it for baseball. I need to emphasize that that's the last I played of baseball. I never picked it up again throughout high school. I just wasn't really following it as much, I guess I fell out of passion for it, if you might say. Before baseball, in that season that got canceled, the sport I did for this season before that was wrestling, high school wrestling. That was definitely an experience. it was very tiring. Again, remember, I'm weak, scrawny, and all that, so I'm in like the lightest weight class of JV. I didn't win a single match in my duels and tournaments or anything like that. I always lose. The only places I could get a win was against my own teammates in like our own trainings or anything like that, but that was pretty much it. I never got a single win. Well, technically I got a win in a duel for my school, but that was because there was no one in my weight class that I was representing, so I just went up there, they raised my hand, and I left. So yeah, wrestling, even though it was really tough physically, like we would run circles in this small, like really hot room. They'd turn up the heat, so you know you'd sweat more and get more tired. We have to run circles all around and then stop, and like maybe there'd be like stations throughout, right? And they'd be like, all right, do some dips right here, do some pull-ups. Have a little like a 3-minute like duel with someone else here. It was definitely very physically demanding, but I made some good friends there. One of my best friends right now, he was in wrestling too, so I got to meet him through that, and that was pretty cool. Overall, I'm grateful for the experience. I'm sure when I was doing it, I wanted out, I wanted to quit, but you know, overall it was for the better, right? Around this time, I was actually getting really into soccer. And I still am, football, but I'm gonna call it soccer for the sake of, you know, speaking English for the rest of the video.
Oh, for God's sake! You piece of shit! You absolute idiots!
I really like soccer. Even now I follow it very closely. There was something like sophomore year where it was like still COVID, but they were trying to bring stuff back slowly, so they were bringing back soccer, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna try out. Thinking like I would go practice sometimes myself, not nearly enough, but I would go sometimes practice just like my own like juggling and all that stuff, doing some like imaginary scenarios of like being a winger.
This is how you actually do it. Watch.
I get to the tryouts and I am the slowest. Surprisingly, I'm the slowest one there. I was still someone that was fast, but I was the slowest guy there. Of course, my cardio wasn't good enough for that. And I'm like, dang, what am I gonna do? Our team wasn't that many players, but I'm like, dang, what am I gonna do? And then they call out and say, is anyone here a goalkeeper? Like on the first day, and like no one says anything. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. And I said, yeah, I'm a goalkeeper.
Possible way that North Carolina can mess up this shot.
I was the varsity goalkeeper. Honestly, I wasn't too bad, you know. I wasn't really a goalkeeper, so there was things I wasn't good at. But reflexes and all that stuff, I was still pretty good at getting some shot blocks. I think penalties themselves were something I was pretty specialized in. The funny thing came in my first game, the very first game we had. It's hard to remember it because of what I'm going to tell you, but I remember the ball was coming and it was going to be like a 1v1. So I made a sprint out the box, and next thing I know, I'm like waking up on the bench. I'm like, what happened? Like I was all dazed. What happened was I collided with a kid and I got knocked out and I got a concussion. So I was out for like 3 minutes or something like that. My mom came, took me to the hospital and they told me, oh, you're good. You just had a concussion, but there's nothing else besides that. You know, you just can't play for a few weeks. But it was a bit weird, it was a bit odd, like an interesting experience for like my first game to just be knocked out with a concussion. That was a bit of a, you know, just a bit of an interesting memory. Slowly, I was allowed to get back into training and all that stuff, and then the few games that I did play, I honestly did pretty good. I don't think we ever lost a game with me in goal, but to be fair, I played like, 4 or 5 games just because of the fact that, maybe even 3, I don't even remember, but just because of the fact that I was like injured for like half the season, and the season was shortened. But yeah, soccer was definitely a fun experience. I didn't have any friends that I already knew beforehand, but everyone there was all welcoming. It was cool. It was more like my culture, you know. It was like more like we'd speak Spanish a lot. I could understand a lot of what they were saying, you know. I remember on the last game, afterwards went to the Cheesecake Factory.
Strawberry cheesecake.
And, you know, they were talking in a little circle, and I was just a little bit outside of it. And they're like, hey, get in the circle, too. You're part of this team, too. Like, the captain said that. And that was a really cool moment. Overall, I'm really grateful. Besides the concussion, I'm really grateful for that season, too. I honestly didn't do too bad. There was a few mistakes as a goalkeeper I made, but...
To the keeper. Where is the keeper? Where is the goalkeeper?
But I made some pretty decent saves and all that. And, yeah, that was a pretty cool experience. And... that's where it ends for me for high school sports.
Messi, immens Messi, encara 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 Messi, gol.
I was trying out junior year, and honestly, I don't know why, but I just didn't have the feeling of wanting to continue playing soccer. So I was like, I tried out, but then I was like, you know what, I withdraw. You know, I just don't think I want to play this year. I don't know why, but it was just something that I didn't want to play. So after that, and then I started getting into weightlifting more and more. And that's, you know, what I do on a daily basis now, just weightlifting. I'm on a push-pull leg split, and yeah, that's what I do now. I also trained in pro wrestling, so not high school wrestling, pro wrestling. That was definitely the one for me that was most physically demanding of all, but it was a really, really cool experience. That one was so much more fun than any of the other sports that I did, honestly. So cool classmates, cool coaches. So that was a fun period. I guess that's it for me in sports. Any fun memories you have or any sports you play, drop them in the comments too. I'm sure I want to read them. But yeah, the next video I'm going to make is probably releasing on the, what is it? I think it's releasing on the 4th of July, honestly. 3 weeks from when this releases. I'm starting to do every 3 weeks, so, and it's going to be one of the entertainment related videos or pop culture. I'm going to be talking about the fact that I finally sat down and watched the Invincible series, and to be honest, I loved it. I don't know why I waited so long. I'm gonna be talking a little bit about that, but that's for the next video. For now, these videos I like to end it with a positive video, so it'll be a positive, uplifting video at the end. Mighty 20 gets you 20% off Defending Athletics. Have a great day, work hard,